Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Dear Goddess. I am Kel Karuna. I am a spiritual mentor, life transformation coach, trauma-informed somatic practitioner, best-selling author, international speaker, and host of Dear Goddess. I do a lot of things, and today we are having a really, really powerful conversation. In this episode, we are discussing why your self awareness might be cock blocking your healing and what it actually means to hold space for yourself. And this was not a conversation I had planned for the show, but here we are. It was actually inspired by what happened after I recorded the second episode. So if we are connected on Instagram, then you have been following my journey and you've probably been seeing how the relaunch of this podcast has been such an initiation. And if you aren't following me on Instagram, then let's connect. So it's been truly, truly just such a portal and such a practice. I've spoken on stages. I've had a podcast before, literally like 2.5 years worth of episodes. They weren't video episodes. And this is where it feels like a new edge for me. But at the same time, I've been a guest on other episodes and there has been video. So part of me is like, this makes no sense. Why do you feel like awkward in front of the camera? And then part of me is like, it makes so much sense because this is something that's new for you. You're exploring a new edge. So self awareness is really beautiful because you're able to see all of these aspects and angles of yourself. And we're going to talk about why that's really helpful and sometimes why that actually blocks you from truly, truly healing and connecting with yourself on deeper levels. So after the second episode, part of me was like, yes, you did it. Awesome job, babe. And then part of me just felt like absolute shit, total shit. And it was really, really interesting to witness because I just felt like there was this disconnect between how I'm meant to be showing up. Like in my head, I am a top rated podcast, like Dear Media level production. And I felt like I was not showing up as that version of me. I felt like I was not showing up in the way that I truly desire to. And I felt like I was not showing up to my true capability. I felt like there was this disconnect between a timeline that I could see, the vision that I have for how I show up, and the space that I hold as a podcaster and how I was actually showing up. And it was like not aligning. And I just felt like complete and total shit. And I was telling myself, you're doing a great job. And I noticed that that actually made me feel worse, which is really, really interesting. It was really, really interesting to witness that telling myself you're doing a great job actually felt really triggering and made me feel worse. I actually felt shittier after trying to soothe myself and tell myself that you're doing a great job. And as I was really like leaning into this, because whenever we are feeling triggered, whenever we are feeling a bit emotional, whenever we're feeling a bit reactive, these are signs to lean in. And a past version of myself would have leaned all the way out. Like, feel an emotion? No, thank you. I'd rather do anything but that. And the thing with emotions is they don't go away. You can suppress them all you want. It takes so much energy to suppress your emotions. And then we're walking around going through life trying to like protect anything from poking at them. And it truly just makes life suck. And our souls chose to be here in this lifetime to feel. To feel. And when we bypass that, we're kind of missing the point. So I now lean in when I feel resistance, when I feel emotions. And this is very much the work that I share with women now and helping them learn how to really develop emotional mastery. And part of that is being able to witness yourself. So I realized that telling myself you're doing a great job was making me feel worse. And at first I was like, this makes no sense. This makes no sense whatsoever. And then it hit me and I'm like, this actually makes so much sense. So I'm going to share a little bit of context here so that way you can begin to understand this framework and where I'm guiding you because I'm sharing a personal story so that way you can begin to see what this actually looks like in real life. So I am an internal family systems informed coach. And if you're not familiar with internal family systems, it is a methodology that was created by Dr. Dick Schwartz, and it really establishes this framework for understanding protecting the relationship with yourself. And it's based on the concept that we have all of these parts of self. We have protector parts, and the role of these protector parts are to protect the parts of self that are beneath it, the exiled parts that are holding on to the most pain and shame from the past. So, the pattern of self criticism and judgment and being really hard on yourself is often a protector part. It's a part of you that's trying to protect and hide this other part of you that's holding on to so much pain, so much shame, so much unworthiness, whatever it is. And you might be like, that makes no sense. That's actually not protecting me. I know. I know. It's distorted. It doesn't make sense. But at the same time, to that part of yourself, it makes perfect sense. And when we try to tell these protector parts that their role isn't important, or we try to just ignore them, or we tell them something that they don't want to hear, they actually get louder and they're like, fuck you. What do you mean? I'm doing my job. "Well, don't you understand? Like, what are you doing?" And if this feels abstract, it is. It is. We're really looking at identifying different parts of self and the relationships that they have and how they interact with each other. So this is not going to be an entire episode dedicated to explaining what internal family systems is, but it's important to understand these concepts of parts of self and protector parts in order to really have the context for where I'm taking you. So I could see this protector part that was really just in a place of judgment and kind of being a bit hard on myself of like, why isn't it good enough? And at the same time, I'm telling this part of myself, like, I'm proud of you and it is good enough. And you have to actually show up in order to get better and to feel more confident and to do all the things. And at the same time, this protector part did not want to hear it. And while, yes, we can see higher self, source, soul perspective, we also have our human experience because we are 100% soul, 100% higher self, 100% human. The math doesn't math because this goes beyond logic, it goes beyond the mind. So, what was happening was the part of myself that this protector part was protecting didn't actually want to be told that it was doing a great job because it didn't fully believe it. It didn't believe it. And I believe it, like big capital S self, true self, higher perspective self. I believe I'm doing a great job. But this part of myself that still thinks she's not good enough, still feels like she needs to be doing more and she needs to be better. She did not want to hear, I'm proud of you and you're doing a great job. She just wanted to be seen. She just wanted to be seen. And this is where it's really important to understand how to hold space for yourself. So what does that actually mean, holding space for yourself? Well, let's start off by acknowledging what it means to hold space with another person. So let's just say that your best friend or a family member or someone that you really love and care about comes to you and they are distraught. Maybe something very tragic happened. Maybe they're having some kind of problem. Maybe they're just having a really hard time. They are crying. They are a mess. Holding space is literally just being there for them. It's not trying to make them feel better. And this is what we tend to do as humans. When someone comes to us, especially when it's someone that we love and care about, we often try to make them feel better when we see that they are upset, when we see that they are having a hard time. Try to help them solve the problem. And yes, that can be supportive at times, but most of the time, deep down as a human, we just want to be seen. We just want to be witnessed in the mess, in the grief, in whatever it is that we're feeling. And that's actually really, really uncomfortable to hold space and to be with someone while they come undone and not try to fix them and to just be in it, be with what it's bringing up within us, being with the discomfort of witnessing them in pain or witnessing their discomfort. And that's really, really uncomfortable. And while this is important to do with another person, to just be able to hold space for them, to not try to change them, to not try to make them feel better. And this isn't about not supporting them. This is actually supporting them on the deepest capacity. But as uncomfortable as that is for holding that space for another person, it is also that uncomfortable to hold that space for yourself. So after I recorded that second episode, I went home and I decided that I really needed to hold space for these parts of myself. I needed to hold space for the part of me that feels like she's not doing a good enough job, who feels like she's not this professional podcaster and not really sharing her message in the way that she desires, and who feels like her expression isn't quite yet where she wants it to be and just feels like she's not good enough. And as I'm saying this, I'm like, I know this is not true, but to that part of me that's still holding on to that and still holding on to those stories from the past, she truly believes that. And we can tell her, no, it's not true. We can tell her, you are good enough, but she's not going to be able to believe that. She's not even going to be able to hear that because of all of the emotions that are present. So what did I do? I went in and just felt. I guided myself through a somatic journey, and every time I do, I am reminded of how powerful this work is. And this is the work I share with my clients, but it also is truly so impactful for me. That's the only reason I share it with my clients is because I saw how much it helped me transform and shifted every aspect of my life. So I guided myself through a somatic journey, and I just held space for these parts of myself. I witnessed them. I witnessed their shame of feeling like they're not good enough. I witnessed this sense of failure and the associated shame. And it was not like 5 out of 5 stars, best time of my life, but it was also simultaneously so beautiful to just see these parts of myself. This is what healing actually is. It's discovering and seeing these parts of ourselves. And it was messy. There were so many tears involved. And it was a bit challenging, if I'm fully honest, to just allow these parts of myself to be seen without trying to come in and intervene and tell them, you're doing a great job and I see you. And there's a place for that. But sometimes these parts of ourselves just want to be seen. They just want to be seen. And by telling them, like, oh, you are good enough and you are doing a great job, but that often makes them feel like they aren't. It often reinforces the underlying wounding because they just want to be accepted as they are. They want the pain and the shame that they're holding to be accepted. They don't want you to try to change it. They want you to accept it, to embrace it, to see them and love them and accept them exactly as they are, exactly as they are. And when we do this, some really awesome shit happens. First of all, we are able to alchemize the emotions that we're still holding on to from the past. Now, emotions are energy in motion. That means that they're meant to move and flow. And as humans, we do this not so cute thing where we try to suppress them. We try to push them down. We try to get rid of them. We try to avoid them. We develop preferences. We want to feel bliss and joy and light and all of these higher frequency emotions, the anger, the sadness, the pain, the disappointment. Like, yeah, let's not feel those. And ultimately, emotions are neutral. They're not good or bad. There's no such thing as a good emotion or a bad emotion. And yet this has really been conditioned. Like I feel good, I feel bad. But ultimately, emotions, they're just energy and they're just messengers. They're communicating our experience internally and they're the expression of different parts of ourself because we are not our emotions. We are the awareness of them. And you could think about the experience of emotions as like you're standing on a bridge, and beneath this bridge is a river. And sometimes it's like a soft, gentle flowing river. Sometimes it feels like it's like a white water rapids, but you're not the river. You're on the bridge observing the river. But what happens most of the time is that we end up in the river and our emotions are just controlling us and we're just like being whipped around and we're in the whitewater rapids and It's exhausting. Like, no wonder we try to avoid our emotions. That's not a fun time. And the reason is because nobody really teaches us how to feel, how to navigate emotions, how to regulate and support our nervous system. I don't know about you. I learned a lot of shit growing up, things like fractions and history, which most of which is made up anyway. It would have been really great to understand about feeling emotions and how to regulate my nervous system. This isn't about blaming the system. This is about empowering yourself to learn this now, because this is what actually changes and transforms your life. Because either you have it or it has you. And most of the time, we are a victim to our emotions. We're a victim to our nervous system. But when we know how to actually be with emotions and how to feel, and remember, feeling happens in the body, feeling doesn't happen in the mind. If you're in your mind, that is called thinking. And that is often reinforcing the emotions that are present. And when we're able to actually let the energy of the emotions move and flow in a way that feels safe. And this is not about like straight up just diving into the deep end, especially if we have a lot of big emotions that have been suppressed for a really long time. And I used to approach my healing from the same patterns that I was trying to heal, this sense of overachieving and being really hard on myself. And I was like, we gotta feel it all. And it's like, whoa, like let's ease up a little bit because our nervous system only has the capacity for so much. And when we do these like big, like cathartic practices, oftentimes we're just re traumatizing ourselves. We feel a little bit better after because we're having some biochemical changes, but that's often more dysregulating for our nervous system. And the more that our nervous system is in a state of regulation, the more that we're able to have the capacity to be with these big emotions. But we don't have to do it all at once. Like, let's dip our toes in. Let's titrate to the experience. So I literally used to have to practice feeling my emotions. When I first started working with my own somatic coach, this is going back to 2022, I was just so numb from the neck down. Like he would guide me through different practices to begin to develop my felt sense. And I'm like, I feel nothing. Like I feel numb and I felt like I was doing it wrong. And no, you're not doing it wrong. We've just learned to disconnect from your body. Beautiful, 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 brilliant, really coping mechanism. It's a survival mechanism. And now we can begin to shift out of that. Because here's the thing. I mentioned that emotions are energy in motion. They want to move, they want to flow. We're not actually getting rid of emotions. When you hear people say, like, we're releasing emotions, that's actually a bit of a lie because emotions are energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So we're not actually getting rid of the emotion. What we're doing is we're holding space to be with it and we're alchemizing it using our own life force energy. And we're able to transmute the emotions. And that's how they're able to actually change and shift and evolve. And that's what it means to hold space for yourself, to be with yourself, to be with these parts of yourself, to be with your emotions, not to try to get rid of them, but to see them, to witness them. And this is what actually leads to healing. And this was a whole big thing for me. It was quite dramatic, and sometimes it is. We just need to let ourselves have that moment and not just get sucked up into the emotions and just like drown in them, but actually let our body express them because our body knows what to do. Our body has so much freaking wisdom. Our bodies know how to heal. If you were to cut your arm, your body would know how to heal. You wouldn't have to tell your body, like, okay, now these skin cells, like, you're gonna grow and then you're gonna do this. Like, no, our bodies know how to heal, but we often, unknowingly, because we don't know how to allow the healing process, we block our own healing. And this is, again, something that we are not taught how to do, which is why we're having this conversation today, because it's really, really important to actually understand how to support yourself emotionally and to develop emotional mastery. So, led myself through the somatic journey. It was a lot of emotions that were moved, and it was so beautiful to just be able to see these parts of myself, to discover them, to just hold them with so much love, and to support them with their shame, with their pain, not trying to get rid of it, not telling them, you are good enough, I believe in you. There's there's a place for that. But starting with, I accept you as you are. I see you. I see you're hurting. I see you're holding on to these stories from the past. I know it doesn't feel good, but I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm here to witness you. I see the shame. I see the pain. I love you anyway. I'm not trying to avoid you. I'm not abandoning you. I'm not checking out and trying to escape and avoid. No, I've got you. I'm here for you. And that level of just passion for yourself. It's just so, so beautiful. And it's something I haven't experienced for most of my life. This is only throughout the course of my journey that I've really been able to tap into this level of compassion for self. And it's interesting because one of the side effects of trauma is a lack of self compassion. And yet, self compassion is necessary to actually heal. And that's really the whole foundation for my coaching. It's the Karuna way, which my name is Kel Karuna. That's not my birth name. The evolution of my name is a conversation for a different episode, but Karuna is a Sanskrit word that means compassion. And the moment I discovered this word, it just felt like an immediate soul click. And I'm like, wow, that is the frequency of my soul. Compassion, and not just compassion being a noun, compassion being a verb, the act of compassion, compassion towards self and compassion towards others. And that is the foundation for my coaching. It's the Karuna way, healing through compassion and holding compassion for yourself. So the next day, at some point during the day, I noticed myself just telling myself, I'm proud of you and you're doing a great job. And I was actually able to hear it and to receive it. And it was such contrast to the experience just the day before, where telling myself, I'm proud of you, you're doing a great job, was actually more triggering to now being able to fully feel and receive it. And that's because I was able to witness these parts of myself exactly as they are and accept them and help them really alchemize the emotions that were keeping them trapped and stuck. And once we do that, we're able to receive our own love. We're actually able to then move into a reframe of some sort. But when we just go straight into the reframe, when we go straight into trying to talk ourselves out of an emotion, we're actually disconnecting from ourselves and we're abandoning ourselves. And this is one of the ways that self awareness is actually cock blocking your healing. So, self awareness is not the problem. Self awareness is powerful and it's necessary. Awareness is always the first step to any change because you cannot change what you aren't aware of. Self awareness is really this journey of self discovery. It's this perpetual study of yourself because it's not like you can just check it off of your to do list. Like, I am self aware, did that. No, there's so much more to discover within yourself. And the more that you learn about yourself, the more that you realize you know absolutely nothing, which is beautiful. It's so beautiful that you get to just be on this journey of discovering more and more of yourself. But what happens is we begin to see and identify different patterns and emotions, and self awareness often happens in the mind. And this is why we get stuck because healing happens in the body. So we end up unknowingly trying to think are healing. Maybe you can relate to the scenario. You get triggered by something in your environment. Amazing. Triggers are a gift because they are showing you parts of yourself that are still holding on to something from the past, and they're revealing parts of yourself that are ready to be set free. But what happens so often is we get triggered, we see the trigger, we see the emotion coming up, and we start to analyze, or we start to see the pattern coming up. "Oh, there I am, there I go, doing that again." So we see the emotional reactivity, we see the trigger, we see the pattern, and we have the awareness of it. And then we start to analyze it. Well, what is this trigger about? Was it this? Was it that? What happened? What created the trigger? Here's that pattern again. What's at the root of the pattern? What's happening here? Oh, here's that emotion. What caused that emotion? And we're thinking. We're thinking through the process and we're processing in the moment. Now, processing is an important part of healing, but there is a time and a place for it. And it's not when we first notice it. And remember, healing happens in the body. So when we are in our mind and we're analyzing and we're trying to figure things out in the moment, we're actually reinforcing whatever it is. And we're creating these loops and these knots that begin to tighten. And we're disconnecting from the space of actual healing. And I noticed this within myself, and I noticed this with the women I work with because I work with really powerful women that have so much self awareness and they can see the patterns in their life. They could see the triggers, but they don't know how to shift out of it. And I've been here, and it's so, so frustrating. It's so frustrating to see how you keep getting in your own way, but to not know how to actually get out of your own way. It's like you're like banging up against a mirror and it's like there's something in my way and it's like, "Oh wait, it's me. It's me. Everywhere I go, here I am, and I could see these patterns and I could see the triggers and I could see all the things, but what do I do with them?" It's so, so frustrating, and I got stuck here for so long because I was trying to think and analyze, and I wasn't getting to the root cause. So patterns and triggers, they're always a symptom, they're not the cause. And you need to get to the root to really understand what's happening and to also be able to fully heal what's present. Going back to the garden analogy, we have this beautiful garden of life, all kinds of things growing. We have patterns and things happening here, but this is at the surface level. We need to get to the root to really understand. And this requires shadow work and getting really honest with ourselves to see what's beneath the surface, to see what's beneath the patterns that are present in our life, and to really understand the underlying wounding that is contributing to the experience of feeling triggered. This also requires radical personal responsibility, which is not the same as blame, shame, or judgment, because whenever we are blaming somebody else, we are making ourselves a victim. And that includes when we blame ourselves. But in order to actually go through this journey of getting to the root cause, we first need to feel the shit that we often don't want to feel. And it makes sense. This is why we suppressed it in the first place. That, and we also weren't taught how to actually feel our emotions. Add in the fact that the majority of people living on planet Earth today have an extremely dysregulated nervous system. Again, we aren't taught about nervous system regulation. We aren't taught how to create internal safety, how to regulate our nervous system. We're not taught this. We need to have the capacity within our nervous system to actually be able to feel and be with these big emotions. Because when we get triggered, we're often being pushed into a state of dysregulation. And if we're already in a state of dysregulation, then we're just like layering dysregulation on dysregulation. It's like creating a dysregulation sandwich, and that does not taste good. And life does not feel delicious when you're just stacking on the layers of dysregulation. So, again, what often happens is we have an experience that makes us feel a certain way, or perhaps we have an experience where we notice a pattern in our life and we go into the mind, we start analyzing, we start thinking about it, we start figuring out why. Maybe we even go on Chat GPT and like put in what we're experiencing and like, chat, what do you think is the root cause of this? And babe, I love you, but please, please, please stop getting emotional advice from a robot. From a robot. That just doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. Robots can do a lot of things. This is not a conversation about whether or not we should be or shouldn't be using AI. There will be a future episode about the toxic relationship that I had with AI. An entirely different conversation. That's not what we're talking about today. AI is incredible. We need to be embracing technology, but I would not be going to someone for advice when they've never done it before. And sure, they can synthesize information and the bot can give you different practices and tools, but they can't really hold space and lead you and guide you. It's a totally different experience. And again, we're taken out of our body, going into the mind, researching what to do with this emotion. That's not healing. That's not healing. And this isn't about making ourselves right or wrong. You can't do it wrong. It's just about refining and making these shifts. And often what happens is We think we're actually feeling, but we're thinking, and then we're just looping. And again, it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and we're just pushing and suppressing and making more inner knots within ourselves. Another reason this happens is because the mind tries to solve the problems of the heart. And really, there's no problem. Emotions are not a problem, but they feel like a problem, especially when we don't really know what to do with them. So the mind comes in. Again, the mind is representative of our masculine energy and pulls us out of the experience. We close off our heart. And then when we close off our heart, it actually creates this masculine shield, which is this energetic shield that disconnects us from our true feminine essence. And it's a protective mechanism. Everything that we're discussing today is actually a protective mechanism. It's not like we're doing something wrong. These are just ways that we learned how to survive. They're ways that we learned how to adapt with our environment and what we're experiencing and to make sense of our reality. So there's no problem, but the mind views it as a problem whenever we're experiencing some type of big emotion. And we begin to disconnect and close off. And again, we're stuck in our mind. So, in order to shift out of this, we need to come back to feeling, to somatically being with our experience, not analyzing and processing and thinking and trying to figure out what is this about, how to solve it and how to fix it and what's the root cause. And it's like, no, I just want to be seen. Like parts of ourselves just want to be seen. But in order to do this, we need to have the capacity within our nervous system to hold space for ourselves to be with these emotions and not just go into full dysregulation and shut down. Another way we cock block our own healing through self awareness is that we often end up gaslighting ourselves when we go into a reframe. Now, I could literally reframe your entire reality right now, and you will have a whole new perspective on life. But again, that's superficial. That's surface level. Reframing is such a powerful tool, but most of the time, and there are some caveats to this, but most of the time, we need to feel first. We need to feel the emotion. And this is the exact example I gave in the story I shared where I was telling myself, I'm proud of you. You're doing a great job. You're getting better. You're showing up. The parts of myself that were holding on to these emotions and these stories weren't even able to receive that. They were closed off to that because the emotions were creating this barrier. So we need to feel first. And emotions are really like this sticky glue that holds these limiting beliefs and stories and narratives from the past in place. And we have to actually be with the emotion in order to move into the reframe. And a lot of the time, we end up gaslighting ourselves and just bypassing the emotion, telling ourselves, well, I can see the silver lining and let's just be grateful and this and this. And these underlying parts of ourselves are like, what the fuck? Like, just see me, just feel me. This happens a lot as it relates to fears. When I first started surfing, and honestly, still a little bit now, it was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So dysregulating for my nervous system. I'm pretty sure I must have had some really traumatic incidents with water in a past life. In fact, I actually know that I did. And this is an interesting story, such a tangent, but it came through in a past life regression. And the man that I was once married to was also in this past life with me. And we were on a boat, and the boat was like sinking. This is going back a long ass time ago. And the boat was like sinking, and he didn't save me. I ended up drowning. And I'm pretty sure I fell off of the boat, and perhaps that's the fear I have of surfing. Or perhaps it's just related to that deep rooted fear of failure. I have so much to share about my surfing journey. That gets its own episode. But when I first started surfing, the fear was so present. And I could tell myself, like, you're not scared. It's going to be great. And those parts of myself that were terrified would have been like, what do you mean? We're actually going to get louder because we're trying to get your attention. And that's what happens when we ignore our emotions. They don't go away, they end up getting louder and louder because they're trying to communicate messages to us. And when we ignore them, we're abandoning ourselves, often unknowingly, and we are also bypassing our experience. So I could have told myself in those moments where I felt absolutely terrified when I was surfing, like, You're not afraid. You got this. And I would have been like, what the fuck? Like, no, you are really afraid. And we need to lean into those fears and to acknowledge them. So the first step is to always acknowledge the feeling. Like, acknowledge it, see it, acknowledge your body. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know you feel that's a part of you. It's not all of you. Thank you for letting me know that you feel this way. I believe you. I believe you. And when we ignore our emotions, it also destroys self trust. And here's why. You were trying to tell someone something, and every time you said something to them, they were like, nope, disregard. Let me see a different perspective of it. You'd be like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like, no, I'm trying to talk to you and I'm trying to tell you something. And like, don't you believe me? Like, don't you believe me when I'm telling you this is happening? This is really real to me. And you're just telling me, nope, it's all good. It's this, it's that, or you're ignoring me. We would lose trust in that person. And that's exactly what happens within ourselves when we are bypassing emotions. So the more that we can connect with our body, the more that we can really honor our emotions, the more that we're actually building trust within ourselves. And if we immediately go into the reframe, we're bypassing the emotions and we're bypassing the parts of self that are trying to communicate with us. And this is not healing. All right. So that was a lot for today. And again, this is not about doing it wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. This is about developing greater awareness to actually support yourself and to support all of the parts of yourself on deeper levels and to actually use this beautiful gift of self awareness as a tool for true healing. Because when we're bypassing our emotions, we're bypassing our real healing. So let's wrap this up. Remember, there is a review contest happening right now. So make sure you leave a review on Spotify or Apple and also click subscribe. Share it in your stories on Instagram. Make sure you tag me. If you don't have Instagram, you could email it to me and I will send you a free masterclass of your choice. And you'll also be entered to win a free 60-minute session with me. I'll be selecting two lucky winners. I also send out bonus journal prompts and embodiment rituals for every episode because I do not want this to just be another podcast that you listen to where you're taking information in. I want you to actually take what I'm sharing and apply it to your